Hey everyone, welcome back to the Poplar Report. So we are getting some good news out of the Netherlands. That's right. The Dutch are giving us some cause for hope out there, while the United States is in a complete mess right now with the whole Trump indictment about to come up here and the Trump arrest. We are seeing here that the farmer citizen movement which acronym is BBB. I guess if you know Dutch, that makes sense. But they just took over one of the regional areas of the Dutch countryside in an election, and they are now the largest party in the parliament there. And so this is the Senate, largest party in the Senate. And so the protests out there, them spraying the poo all over everything, the farmers saying we've had enough and we do not want to have our farms seized. They have risen up politically, and this is a very big deal out there. We're going to see how much of this political movement transfers over into real legislative change. The Netherlands are absolutely on board with the whole climate change agenda and shutting down basically 50% of their farms. That's the goal there, is to shut down 50% of their farms. And if 50% of the farmers don't want to quit, they're going to be offered cash payouts, and then they're going to be forced to take those cash payouts. And of course, that has the farmers in the Netherlands just absolutely beside themselves, and a whole bunch of people in the Dutch countryside going, yeah, we don't agree with that. So over the past 2 years, the BBB, the citizen farmers movement has risen to power and has formed a bit of a pipeline for representatives to get into the Senate and to start fighting back against this woke agenda, this green agenda of shutting down farmers. So what does this bode for other peoples elsewhere? We see the rise of conservative party in Germany as well. They're not nearly to the point of being able to take control of anything, but they definitely are gaining ground. We're seeing conservative parties in France, but it's mostly even weirder far left parties that are actually kind of gaining the most steam to fight back against government overreach, which is making for some very strange bedfellows. We have the extreme far left, and then we have the people on the right, the very small minority of people on the right in France marching together and protesting together against the government changes. So like I said, very, very strange people kind of working together for common purpose in the near term. And we're seeing a rise of conservative parties around the world who are saying the government really shouldn't be telling everyone what to do. We shouldn't be giving our governments this much power. We need to hold the governments accountable to respecting the rights of private ownership, the rights of free speech. These used to be just regular Western, not ideals, Western freedoms and Western values, and now they are exclusively to conservatives, because apparently everybody else agrees that free speech should only be allowed for things that we agree with being said. And the idea of free speech is now a far-right concept. The freedom of boomsticks is a far-right concept. The idea that you should not be able to have the government snooping through your location at any given time, like the CDC bought up all location data on cell phones inside the United States to track how much everyone was complying with the lockdowns. That's pretty eye-opening. The government's not tracking you. It's actually this private service that the government is buying up the tracking data from. so the government's tracking everybody. We have this concept that the ends justify the means, and the anti-racism, the everything out there, it seems like, justifies doing these horrendous things, these horrendous dystopian things. I mean, we used to watch these dystopian sci-fi things and go like, wow, that's crazy. You know, I can't believe they're forcing people to take medications to suppress their emotions. And then so like today, it's like, well, it wasn't for emotions. It was just kind of like just because they told you to take it. And then you start looking at just all the things that are in these dystopian, you know, you watch the Hunger Games or read the books and you're like, those capital people sound like the people that live in San Francisco with the pink hair and they're tattooing themselves into looking like animals and stuff like that. It's like, you can go to San Francisco and see those people. Like, and they're the same people that are in Washington, D.C. and New York City, and these people are just like completely unable to protect or provide for themselves. They can work in offices, they can work remotely at woke corporations where they spend all their time going to meetings talking about how to further their political agenda and not really anything else. They don't really actually do any other work. That's what happened when Elon Musk took over Twitter. He just basically said, like, none of these people are actually doing any work. All they're doing is just sitting there censoring people. And that's not a revenue generating job, right? You just attending meetings and deciding on who to bash with the censor hammer is not really a productive use of anyone's time. And so just one dystopian future after the next, we're not quite at Mad Max yet, but we feel like we're kind of moving that way, don't we? Could we be there soon? And we need to get there soon before they ban all use of fossil fuels, because how are you going to have these racing vehicles if there's no fossil fuels, you know? So, but all that to say, some hope coming out of the Netherlands. They are taking back control of their government, it seems like, to an extent. We're going to see if that translates into them able to push back some of this woke green 2030 agendas coming out of the UN and the EU. The World Food Program, World Economic Forum. Oh, there's so many of these different organizations that are trying to just mess with all our lives, right? It's hard to keep them all straight. But all this agenda coming to being put, and the Netherlands have been like, oh, please, let's do it here first. Let's absolutely destroy our food production. The Netherlands is one of the top exporting food countries in the world, and that's because they have these massive greenhouses, and they provide a lot of the fruits and vegetables that go out through Europe. Of course, they get very high dollar amounts on that, and so they're one of the largest exporting food countries in the world by euros or dollars, because it's expensive per pound of what they're exporting, and they're exporting high top quality stuff to all the restaurants and all the chefs all over Europe. But the idea of shutting down a lot of the farms and a lot of the dairy, a lot of the herds across the Dutch countryside is going to have some pretty serious impacts on the entire availability of food, particularly fresh vegetables and fruits. It's already having an impact inside the UK, where they are rationing fruits and vegetables, partially due to the issues down in Spain and northern Africa of drought, but also due to high energy costs of keeping the greenhouses warm, both in the UK as well as Netherlands. Of course, the price of keeping those greenhouses warm would be a lot better if the pipeline hadn't just spontaneously exploded out in the ocean. Thanks, Biden. So what are we going to do going forward? Yeah, keep voting, keep praying, keep hoping, but also taking practical steps to protect you and yours as best as you can out there. All right, folks, if you found this video to be useful or helpful, you might want to check out this other video from me right over here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.